How's it going, everybody? Ryan here, aka Blackbeard TCG, and in today's video I want to talk to you guys about the meta game report, the meta breakdown for FAM Battle Arena One Piece tournament, 160 players. This is the metagame report. Please, 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 all credits, and please visit and go to One Piece Card Game Thailand fan page. Link will be down in the description if you want more details. All these graphics and everything like that came from their fan page. You can go ahead and follow it as well. But with that being said, I want to talk about their metagame report. It's 160 players. This took place 1 day ago as of the recording of this video. So literally it is fresh OP02 content. And right off the bat, I just want to say, look at the amazing representation. Like, of course, we see an overwhelming amount of Kaido, we see Zoro, we see Smoker, and we see Kinemon, of course. But overall, there's a lot of people playing a lot of decks. There's a lot of people, 4.35% of people are playing Blurple Croc, right? Like, that is pretty good. You know, we got my boy Dofi getting some representation as well, right? So there's a lot of decks that are being played at a competitive level, 160 players, and it's good to see that not everybody is just running the same one or two decks, right? We have a nice spread, and in the top 16 there was a pretty good spread of decks as well, but an overwhelming amount of them being Kaido, which is not really surprising when you have a 160 player tournament and 15% of the people are fielding Kaido deck. Of course, obviously that means you're probably going to have a lot of Kaidos in the top cut. But what if I told you guys that out of the top 4 decks, 3 of them were Kinemon players, guys? And again, I don't want to sound like I knew it all along or anything like that. But again, all I'm saying is I have the receipts. Go back on my channel and look at my videos from when Kinemon got revealed. I said that I think that this deck is going to be cracked. It will continue to be cracked, and it will only get better. This deck is not going anywhere, okay? It will get better in OPO3. It will continue to get better because as long as green exists and is a thing and green continues to get more support, Wano package is so strong. Like, Wano needs to get power crept. And until the Wano cards get power crept, because green as a color it itself has such strong cards, this deck will always be strong going forward from now on. So literally in the top 4, 3 of the decks are all Kinemon. And it's so funny because the champion was just like, oh yeah, I'll just stick with my uncommon Kinemon. I don't need the alt art. The other 2 were using their alt arts. Shoutouts to Wassen. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He was the champion of this 160 player tournament. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at his build. So right off the bat, we see the 4 Momonosuke. Well, let's take a look at the Wano package, right? So he opted for, looks like the full set. So he has the 4 Momonosuke for the search, 4 Izo for the 2K counter. Looks like he's running 3 copies of Cat Viper, which is pretty standard. It looks like he's also running Dogstorm Mink version, which is quite interesting because I believe that's the one that can't be destroyed by card effects if all of your Dawn is tapped. So I'm really curious as to why he's playing that. Honestly, I don't understand it. I can't really see a place for it in the deck, but what do I know? He's the champion and I'm not. So I mean, he's assigned to run the copy. He's running Okiku, and then of course the 4 copies of 4-drop Yamato. That card is absolutely amazing. I've talked about that already in the past. So that's the Wano package, of course, as we say, top, and then also Izo. I forgot about him. Sorry, Raizo. I forgot about him. 4 copies of that. So yeah, standard Wano package, right? All the cards are broken. We talked about that. Okay, so then we are running the Supernova package, right? That we've seen other people have been doing. So we have the 4 copies of Beige. We have the 4 copies of Apu. We have the 4 copies of Killer Blocker. We have 1 copy of Basil Hawkins, 1 copy of X-Drake, 2 copies of Green Law, as well as... Oh, how did I forget the Odins, by the way? I forgot about the Odins. How did I forget about the Odins for the Wano package? I mean, that's what makes this deck broken as well. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot about the Odins. But yes, we are also running the 2 copies of the starter deck kid 7-drop and then 1 copy of the 8-drop kid. Now, I want to talk about this build overall. And then he has Paradise Waterfall. So Honestly, I can't speak about Dogstorm Mink version. I have no clue why he's running it. Absolutely no clue. I wish I could understand it, but I don't. With that being said, I think the optimal way to play this, of course, is mixing the Supernova package with the Wano package. So very, very similar to how green is played in set 1, where set 1 has a lot more focus on the Supernova package, right? You'll see a lot of kid players maxing out Basil Hawkins and running 3 copies. You see a lot of them playing multiple copies of X Drake, right? Like, that's the difference. You see them playing multiple copies of the Trafalgar Law, whereas the Kinemon is running a little, like half of that engine in that sense and running more of the Wano cards, and rightfully so. But the thing is that 7 cost kid and 8 cost kid are still very, very strong cards, right? They're strong in kid, they're strong in Kinemon, and they will be strong in any other green deck that comes forward until they get power crept. Because it's just good. Right? Like, they're just good cards. And this goes back to what I was talking about at the start of the video, where I'm saying that, like, this deck will be here for a long time. Green is just a good deck. Like, I think people just need to get that, like, and just understand that green will always be meta. Whether it is Kid, whether it is Kinemon, whether it is Red-Green Law, whether it's Red-Green Luffy. I'll have a video on Red-Green Luffy coming up. But, I mean, as long as you can play green cards, you're gonna do well. And yeah, the kid engine is very, very strong. I don't want to say engine, it's just 2 kid cards that are really good. And you're gonna see it being played in all of the top Kinemon decks. And so in terms of this list, like I said, I'm not the champion. I have no clue. I can't speak to like his choices. What I would do is, I like this guy's build. For me, I would drop the Dogstorm Mink version. I'd play another copy of Paradise Waterfall. I would probably drop the X Drake and maybe add another copy of Hawkins. And then outside of that, I think that would be my build. Let's take a look at the other ones real quick. So second place, again, running the standard package. This one's a little bit more interesting because they are running 3 copies of the new Chopper. Now, that, I believe they're mostly probably going to be using that for the 2K counter. I don't believe that he's actually going to be playing that, because I don't see why he would waste 2 Dawn in playing that. I really think it's just another 2K counter, because you have that, you have a Pooh, you have Izo, so that gives you a ton of 2K counters. We're seeing a lot of people opt for those over events now, depending on the events, of course, because 2K counters are always nice to have rather than having to use your Dawn to use your events. I really like the 3 copies of Paradise Waterfall. That's a number that I really like, 2 to 3 copies of it. And then of course we're seeing the 2 of the 7-drop kid, and then 1 of the 8-drop kid. I think that will be standard going forward. And then of course we have the Odins as well. So this looks like a very standard list. Honestly, this list looks a lot more like the version that I would run, except obviously we see the 1 copy of X Drake. I mean, I guess, is X Drake that valuable? I mean, I guess so. I don't know. If it was me, I would be running the Basil Hawkins over the X Drake, but that's just me. But clearly, I mean, if both players are running X Drake, let's look at the 3rd version. Is this guy also running X Drake? No, so he's not running X Drake in his, but he's running Denjiro, I believe is his name. Oh no, he's running 2 copies of X Drake. So yeah, so maybe I'm just completely wrong. So maybe the play is to run X Drakes and not Basil Hawkins. So maybe I'm overvaluing the double swing power of Basil Hawkins, and the power of X Drake is just more like tangible value. So yeah, again, I'm wrong. That's why I'm not a runner-up in a 160 person tournament, and that's why I'm not the champion of a 160 player tournament. But it's good to have insights. I like how we have deck profiles from all 3 of the top 4. It just shows how good the deck is, and builds can vary. Like this one is running 3 copies of the Secret Rare Yamato. It's running Denjiro, and it's still topping, right? Like, this deck is nuts. And oh yeah, this deck is also running 2 copies of Basil Hawkins. So I guess it's personal preference. Like, no, you know what? I'm gonna stick with my laurels. If I was building this from the champion version, I would drop the Dogstorm, add another copy of Paradise Waterfall, drop the X Drake, add a copy of Basil Hawkins, and that would probably be my build. I probably would keep everything else the exact same in this guy's list, but to mine. If anything, maybe drop the Trafalgar Laws and add X Drakes, but I actually really do like the Trafalgar Law as an extra blocker. these decks aren't running it, right? And who knows, that could be the reason why he ended up winning, being able to have an extra blocker, because I don't know, lately I've been valuing high-powered blockers as of late, right? Like it's really good on defense. So I mean, I know, shocker, right? High-powered blocker is really good on defense. That's like a 3-head take, but yeah, overall, these are the top 3 of the top 4 decks. Kinemon is looking very strong. I am going to not be surprised if we continue to see this be a trend. I think it's going to be the best deck of the format until, you know, something overwhelms it, right? And that could be Ivankov, which I will be talking about in a future video this week. Blue's looking good as well. Ivankov is looking strong, but unfortunately, Kinemon has access to Kid, and Kid alone will help you beat, it'll help you beat, what's that guy's name? Ivankov. Yeah. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the build. What are your guys' thoughts? Have you guys tried playing around with Kinemon? Do you have an optimal build? What do you guys think of this? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys on tomorrow's video. Peace.